What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today we're going to talk about Midnight Family, Season 1, Episode 1, and Season 1, Episode 2. This is on Apple Plus. It's a new TV series, and it has audio description, which is great because it's international. Now, Apple has dropped quite a bit of international content within a small window of time, to the point where it's noticeable, where I'm a little like, I'm happy that they're doing it because I love international content and perspectives from other cultures and being able to get that. And some of the content has been really good. I really love Women in Blue. I really love Pachinko. Land of Women was okay and was bilingual. But definitely I want a third season of Pachinko. I want a second season of Women in Blue. And Les Maisons, it's kind of slow start, and it's dropping at a time when there's like 1,000 shows. This is the same problem with this show, by the way. Like 1,000 shows dropping right now. And I don't know that I'm going to follow either of these because my dance card is very full in terms of trying to watch and keep up with shows. So this is probably just going to be the review. It's based on a documentary about presumably the same thing, but down in Mexico. I guess this is what I find always interesting when you take shows that are from other countries. You learn more about their culture, where ambulances are more privatized, and there's this family that has their own ambulance, and they have to like race to these scenes to try to be the first on so that they can claim and get the money or whatever to try to transport somebody to the hospital. And this family that's trained to do this, the daughter here, the main character, who sounds like she's voiced by Lindsay Lohan, by the way. Like from the very beginning, I was like, wait, I thought this was is this Lindsay Lohan? Like I literally had to check because whoever's doing the VO for her, whoever's doing the dubbing here, like, I was like, this sounds like Lohan to me. She has that like crackly, like it's not quite phonating voice, you know, that Lilo has. So, it's not, but I was like, that would be random. What happened to Lindsay Lohan? Well, she does dubbing now. You know, she tries some Netflix original films, and now she just dubs people's voices. But it's you see her, she's struggling to keep up with everything and to go through med school, and obviously she wants to do this and help people. The second episode, it was a 2-episode drop. The second episode ends with a cliffhanger that will make you question whether you're like, oh damn, I wasn't sure I wanted to go into a third episode, but I really want to know how this cliffhanger, because that's where I'm at. I'm like, God, are they gonna pull that trigger on the second episode? Really? So I'm like intrigued. I'm sort of it's like with this and Les Maisons, it's like I would watch more episodes if there weren't some TV shows on right now, you know, and new shows dropping every 5 minutes. So I'm really quick to throw away something like Rescue. When I saw Rescue's first episode, and there wasn't like a single cell organism in my body that was interested in watching another minute of Rescue. High Surf, audio description or not, there's nothing about that show that could have made me go back. They could have cast like everybody who was in the Avengers, and I would have been like, I don't know, the show is just, I don't want to be here. This feels like Baywatch knockoff. But this, yeah, it does. It ends on a cliffhanger where you're like, damn, if I don't come back, I'll never know the answer to that question. But at the same time, there are a lot of shows. There just are. There are a lot of shows. So if you want to watch a show about a family that has an ambulance in Mexico, that's dubbed fairly well. Although my note here is the same note that I gave for Women in Blue, which is, and the same thing I'm going to give for basically every single series. Why does everybody sound like they're being dubbed by like the whitest cast, you know, we have gone out and we have found the the Real Housewives of, I'm trying to think of some deeply some small town in Kansas, like I don't know. I'm trying to find where would the whitest place be that I could think of. Um, I that's what it feels like. It feels like there's like we just replaced a whole bunch of representation here with and just whitewashed it, and that's what we do when we dub. And the greatest thing about Americans is that we have the ability to not do that because we're such this melting pot. So there's voice talent out there that is Latinx and speaks English so that they can be understood, but also speaks in a way where you can be like, oh, that's a Latinx voice talent. Cool. Voicing a Latinx character. Look at this. We're doing great work, I think we should think more about that kind of thing, uh, especially in regards to like that. Pachenko has a little bit of that, where there are some characters where you're like, okay, that's Asian voice talent. I think even Shogun had um, could have used that, but it was all just the one narrator who did the whole series. It was just such a travesty. An audio description. There was no dub cast for that. Basically, it was just one narrator read every single character. So here, there's an audio description track, and then there's a dub cast that comes in, which is what Apple does for everything. And I don't want to shake up the mold and say stop what you're doing. I just would love for you to be a little bit more considerate about what is it that you're doing and why are we whitewashing it. Because one of the best things about having international content is to be able to have that culture. And then when you take that culture and you just like put a little eraser over it, it gets kind of like, well, why am I here? To listen to a voice that sounds vaguely like Lindsay Lohan voice a Latina female Mexican, character. It's very odd. But it's exactly Women in Blue did the same thing. And so did the other series. Pachenko is the one that has at least some accurate voice cast. And that's a show that is in 3 languages. It's in Japanese, Korean, and English. So at least it has a percentage of representation in its voice cast, from what I can tell. I know we're getting into the dangerous territories also of sounds like, but and it's possible that this cast could be fully representative, as could Women in Blue. I doubt it. Um, uh, for what it's worth, even like Eva Longoria sounds more representative, and she has tried really hard to sound a little bit like her character on Desperate Housewives. You know what I'm saying? Like she's almost cultivated this like perfect suburban housewife vibe. Like she could be a Real Housewife if her career ever took a nosedive. Yeah. Although I would think I don't know who she's married to, but I assume she's the higher paid one in the relationship. So, Midnight Family it's not that interesting. It's a conception. Okay, so conceptually, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I haven't seen the show before. I haven't seen this concept before. When I was thinking, I was like, when was the last time I saw anything like this? I was Bringing Out the Dead, which was 25 years ago. So it's been 25 years since I've seen anything that reminded me of this show, because this isn't about doctors. This isn't about nurses. This doesn't take place in a hospital. This takes place in an ambulance. But it's not like Ambulance, like Michael Bay's Ambulance, where it's like a heist thriller. No, this is about ambulance driver and ambulance crew. So the closest thing I could think of was Bringing Out the Dead, which also tonally is different than this. Um, so it gets 10 out of 10, but then sometimes you realize like execution doesn't, it plays a huge part of it. And it's like, do I actually want to see this show? You know, I mean, there are a lot of things that we haven't seen a show of yet, but that could be because the show conceptually just doesn't work as a show. It's just not as interesting. So, yeah, I wasn't being pulled in quite. I don't think that this show has the best showrunners that are quite grabbing me and pulling me in. Yes, the second episode ends on a very baity cliffhanger. However, the first episode bored me. The second episode, I was bored for most of it. And then, like, towards the end, the last a little part of it, they're like, oh, something's happening. But I don't even know that that's going to happen every single episode. So, um, creative points, but it fails on execution. So, and I would really love for dubbing cast to actually start sort of sounding like the representation they're supposed to be representing. Representing. Yeah, that's a word. Subscribe because I create words. Uh, anyway, I'm gonna give Midnight Family a C plus. That plus is earned through originality. There's originality here, and there's stuff that feels like I haven't seen this before, but you got to do something with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you actually have to. Like, I can't directly compare this to anything that's on TV right now, and that's great. But at the same time, that doesn't always necessarily equate to, wow, that's a great TV show. Just being original, if you don't know what you're doing with that originality, doesn't necessarily mean great things are ahead. So I'm gonna give Midnight Family a C plus. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.